Good morning, my good brothers and sisters in the Lord. As you can see, temptation comes in many ways. Duck donuts, the epitome, the apotheosis of the donut. As you can see, some people have already indulged. Thank you, Sam. Yeah, and others. It takes a great deal of wisdom to be able to resist the bacon on a donut? Oh, I'm wrong. Well, anyway, it takes a lot of wisdom and self-control, and the smell from this box is. I could just take one bite. Speaking of taking one bite and wisdom, I used to be a long time ago, about 100 years ago, when I was going to school. I was the assistant manager of a place called the Boston Chocolate Chip Yard or something like that. And it was at Faneuil Hall. And this woman who was the manager left me in charge of all these high school kids and young college students to work with the chocolate chip cookies. So as these people would be coming up, these very competent young people would... They'd cheat people on the cookies and they'd pocket some for themselves. Or they'd give them a bag full of cookies and then stuff a couple in their mouth. It was very difficult to manage that group of people. It took wisdom. And frankly, I didn't have it. But I've got so much wisdom now. I can resist at any time. These really do smell absolutely amazing. Wisdom is the quality that we want from our leaders. We're going to talk about the law and the prophets. So we received the law through Moses, the Ten Commandments. So we went over some of the commandments, but then they had to be meted out to the people. They had to be shared with the people. And what happened was, the society, the Israelites, developed in their villages a series of judges, and these judges would hear the cases of the people, and the quality that was most needed by these judges to interpret the law was wisdom. Some of those judges are familiar to us. Samson, we remember the long hair and the strength. Gideon, we know he placed Bibles in every Marriott hotel around the world. He was very far-seeing. Deborah, who is a foreshadowing of the coming of the Theotokos, and others. There were about a dozen of these judges, and they filled in the gap between the time of Moses and the conquest and the time of the kings, when wisdom would be at its most important. And so it's on the eve of the election, the great election, which is going to happen tomorrow, that we pray for wisdom. We hope that the people that we put into office are people who put their minds and their souls in balance and in harmony. To that end, I'm going to close with a quote from the Psalms, when he writes in Psalm 146, verses 3 to 7, "Put not your trust in princes and in mortals, in whom there is no help. When their breath departs, they return to the earth. On that very day, their plans perish. Happy are those whose help is the God of Jacob, whose hope is in the Lord their God, who made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them, who keeps faith forever, and executes justice for the oppressed, who gives food to the hungry." Well, speaking of hungry, I can resist at any time, but to make all of you feel better, I'll choose one of these.